new ideas are on the table at SANDAG as the agency works to relocate the train tracks away from the crumbling bluffs. Board member Terry Gaasterland joins us now with the latest update. Good morning.
Good morning, Paul.
How are you?
Really good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, the last time we spoke, I believe we were saying, man, trying to build consensus is going to be, it's going to take an act of God. Are we any closer to having a consensus building around one of these many options as far as relocating tracks?
Well, let's think about where we were and where we are now,
okay,
and where we're going to be in a couple of weeks. So in June, we had 3 alignments. None of them were good because each of them was bad for Solana Beach, for Del Mar, for the Fairgrounds. Correct. In a different way. So SANDAG, the executive director, said, let's step back and let's look again hard at all options and let's do a cost-benefit analysis, a value analysis as we do it. So on Friday, they just released a new report that casts the net broadly. In addition to the 3 alignments from June, which are now slightly different, there are 13 more, and 2 of them are new alignments that I'm actually now quite excited about. Okay, please.
Which is one of these the David Way portal?
No, that may actually be the worst one of all.
All right, well then we'll get to that last then. All right, which ones are you in favor of now?
Okay, so our council has not taken a position. We've decided that because all of us are conflicted in a different way on a different potential alignment, we're just stepping back and saying nothing should go underneath people's homes and take freight under people's bedrooms. So that's number 1. The alignments that I get excited about, one is really well defined in this report as a viable option, and that's to take the train down the I-5 for 25 miles from Oceanside to Sorrento Valley. It's in this report in 3 different maps that are really highly detailed. The second one is a new version of what used to be called Alternative A. It's now, let's call it Alternative 14.
Okay.
So Alternative 14 takes the train as it's going south, deeper in the Solana Beach Trench, until it gets deep enough that you can just cover it over. And that becomes what we might call a natural portal, you know, a very easy transition that's near nobody's house. And then in Solana Beach, it can be covered, and that gives Solana Beach a lot of options potentially. Then it goes underneath the Fairgrounds, underneath the river, and over to the I-5, avoiding people's homes.
Right. All right, so is that the #1 concern, is nobody wants to lose their house to a train track?
Yeah, and there are 2 ways to lose your house to a train track.
Who can blame them, though? I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. So the David Way portal, for example, right next door to one of our council members. You know, there's an example. And it would take out all the houses immediately around it, and for a stretch for the portal. You can't have houses a certain distance above. Well, you can't have structures. My position is you can't have houses above a tunnel at all.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so now how many options would you say we're up to now as far as different plans?
Well, the most important page in the entire report is page 269.
Why is that important?
It's a table with the 16 options. So it lays them out, 16. And it has option number, small description, cost, projected cost, and feasibility. And where would it start, where would it end?
All right, and from that 16, that pool of 16, where are you advocating?
Number 14, that's the one that goes deeper in the trench and under the river. Number 10, that's the one that goes down the I-5. Number 12 looks it's not so good, but I think we need to take a harder look at it. It's keeping the train where it is. If the train stays where it is, then the bluff is eroding, so I just don't see how that's a viable option.
Somebody is going to be upset.
Oh, yes.
I mean, there's no way to do this without making somebody upset, right?
So let's talk about that. One of the observations in section 4-2 of this 269-page report is how to mitigate, how to make it better during construction, and a clear recommendation, well, a clear option, because none of these are recommendations yet. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
A clear option is figure out how to make the businesses whole, including the fairgrounds. If they're going to lose money, if anybody's going to lose money during construction, track it and reimburse them. You know, if a business loses foot traffic, track the difference year to year and reimburse them.
All right. So as we wrap this conversation up, because I'm sure we're going to discuss this many, many times in the coming months and years,
Yeah.
How long before we say, okay, this is the plan,
right,
suck it up, we're going to go we're doing it this way?
Well, we're on a fast downhill slope here. I think we may be on the Black Diamond right now. So February 21st is when the staff will publish their recommendations. So of these 16, which are the ones that the SANDAG staff sees as the most important to move forward into environmental studies? That recommendation will be brought to the SANDAG board on February 28th. Prior to this, SANDAG staff are coming to the Del Mar City Council meeting on February 18th. So I'm encouraging Del Mar residents to really tune in there and write to the council for that meeting on the 18th so we know what to say and to advocate for, and write to the board members on the 28th so that the board members understand the impacts on people's homes.
When do we start digging?
Well, that requires the environmental studies, which will be at least 18 months to 2 years, and then construction design, and then we dig.
So it's still a ways off.
It's a few years away.
Terry, thanks for rolling in. I bet you we have this conversation a couple times before then and now.
Yep.
All right, Terry Gaasterland, everybody.